Welcome to another segment of Keep the Beat with Pete. And we recently did the drum cover of Fred featuring Alan Holdsworth and the great Tony Williams. And for me, that song, Tony Williams really introduced a lot of ideas about using different cymbal patterns on the hi-hat. And you know, you hear those things nowadays and you take a lot for granted, but 1975, that wasn't really the thing so much. And those patterns that he used there, you might think of them in a rock jazz like fusion, but they also are very adaptable to, you know, straight ahead or progressive jazz too. They're just ride cymbal variations. So today I thought we would cover 3 or 4 of them. And this is part 2 because we previously had another segment on this, and I'll put a link so you can click on that segment below, where we just covered the and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we had the 1, 2, 3. So we did those 2. Today we're going to cover a few more, and I'm going to either take a snapshot of this and put it in the you know, the video so you can see it, or I will get a PDF link, one of the others. Whatever's easier, I'm going to do. Okay, but their patterns, I'll go through them real slow. We'll just play the cymbal patterns. Then you start thinking about, okay, what would I use if I were to play these patterns and repeat them or to vary them, okay? So the first one, it's in 16th notes and 8th notes. That's what we're working in. We'll start out this way. We could always work on the ride cymbal, start thinking about it in a more jazz context. But so it would be 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Like that. So you can imagine that, what you want to do with it, but the pattern. Yeah, so forth and so on. So I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, 4 with the opening and the closing it. Which gives it another whole effect. But just for basics. Okay, so then you do your variations. Okay, so that's pattern number 1. You can put these in any order you want. Okay, I'm trying to put them in some sort of logical order, but that's my logic. The next one, oh, and by the way, as we often do, just about always, flip it. 1 and... Okay, but line 1 we're going to call 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. Line 2, 1, 2 and 1. So 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and. Okay? You got the idea. In that setting, or okay. 1 and a 2 and 1, 3 and 4 and so that's line 2. Line 3, we're going to leave a note out. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 You've probably heard these figures in some context somewhere at some point in the long and storied history of modern progressive jazz, but okay, so we'll call that line 3. It's just 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and flip it around. 1 and 2 and. And then the last one we'll look at today, and there are others, but okay, you know, would be 1 E and 2 and 1 E and 2 and 1 E. So 1 E and 2 and. One E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1 E. And you know the variations, but 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and a 2 and 1 E and you know, I mean, it's endless. And what patterns might you want to drop in there? Well, you could take, again, good old stick control, take the lefts and just use those in there. Take the rights, put them on the bass drum. Pick patterns that are very familiar to you that you like Ted Reed's, syncopation book. Some of those exercises you could play the lefts. And here you play some of your favorite funk beats in between these patterns. So the 4 patterns, I'm just going to go over them very briefly again, because a lot of times I think that I go through this stuff a little bit too quickly, or I might take something for granted. So 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. And then 1, 2 and. One and 2 and 1 and 2 and then the third one is 1 and 2 and then the fourth one is 1 E and 2 and 1 E and 2 and 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 1 and 1 and. And you could see that it goes in that motif, or and you can do this so many different ways and use it in so many contexts, okay? Not to mention you can start thinking about fills, but either way, funk type fusion. Jazz. Okay, and Tony Williams is one of the guys that I think is one of the landmark players for this kind of thing, but not the only one, obviously, because we don't want to have like an internet, debate. I mean, there's a lot of great cymbal patterns that were emerging. Elvin Jones was out there, a lot of people. But in this thinking, I think he's one of the pioneers. And then, of course, a lot of fusion guys come along, and you have Steve Gadd and Dave Weckl and all, and Vinnie Colaiuta, of course, and so many more. Novak, that started saying, hey, wait a minute, I could put this pattern this way and that way and the other way. And then you had all your world, outside international fusion beats, like Latin beats influencing all this. So, but just to take a look at it, the 4 patterns we had there, plus the other video that I had, which we just had and one and a one and a one and a one and a. This is another 4 variations. You play around with them. At first, you might want to just play the same pattern like an ostinato and see what different things you could drop in. But then you have to start thinking about, okay, variations. I'm going to play it 3 times. The 4th time, it's going to be resolving itself, or something else is going to happen to release the tension of it. Okay, there it is, some part 2, funk, fusion, progressive jazz, cymbal pattern variations, hi-hat and ride cymbal pattern variations, which lead to a whole series of different kinds of beats that you can use to create the beat you keep. For those of you that are new, welcome aboard. For those of you who have been watching for a while, I hope you enjoyed this segment. You can utilize some of these ideas and go ahead then and start building these things in your jam sessions with your group, or your new arrangements that you're putting together, and getting some different slant on things. Thanks for watching. Peace out.